हरिः ओं श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। अभ्रमं भङ्गरहितम् अजडं विमलं सदा आनन्दतीर्थमतुलं भजेतापत्रयापहं मिथ्यासिद्धान्तदुद्ध्वान्त विध्वंसनविचक्षणः जयतीर्थाख्यतनिर्भासतां नो हृदम्बरे अर्थिकल्पितकल्पोऽयं प्रत्यर्थि गजकेसरी व्यासतीर्थ गुरुर्भूयाद् अस्मदिष्टार्थसिद्धये तपोविद्याविरक्त्यादि सद्गुणौघाकरानहं वादिराजगुरून् वन्दे हैग्रीपदाश्रयान् पूज्याय राघवेन्द्राय सत्यधर्मरताय च भजतां कल्पवृक्षाय नमतां कामधेनवे दुर्वादिध्वान्तरवये वैष्णवेन्दीवरेन्दवे श्रीराघवेन्द्रगुरवे नमो अत्यन्तदयाळवे आपादमौलिपर्यन्तं गुरूणामाक्तिं स्मरेत् तेन विघ्नाः प्रणश्यन्ति सिद्ध्यन्ति च मनोरथाः। देवं नारायणं नत्वा सर्वदोषविवर्जितं परिपूर्णं गुरुंश्चान् गीतार्थं वक्ष्यामि लेशतः समस्तगुणसम्पूर्णं सर्वदोषविवर्जितं नारायणं नमस्कृत्य गीता तात्पर्यमुच्यते. On the occasion of Akshaya Tritiya, my Shashtanga Danda Pranamas to Sri Vidyamatha Swamigalavaru, Sri Vidyasisha Tirtha Sri Padangalavaru, and Akshaya Tritiya Abhivandanas and Abhinandanas to all the listeners. And Akshaya Tritiya, on this day, anything that is done, even a Jnana Karya, it will be Akshaya Phalada, so it will give endless results and unlimited results. So with that Anusandhana, we will be continuing our inquiry into Gita Sloka. This is Bhagavad Gita for life. So what is the message? What is Gita giving us? What is the purpose of our study of Gita? What is the quintessence of Gita? What is the Sara of Gita? How is it helpful for our everyday life? So if someone has to abbreviate or say Gita in one line, what is Gita dealing with? It is dealing with the knowledge that is essential for what to do, how to do, and why to do any action in our life. So because in our life, every activity, when we are facing a particular juncture, decision making, we should know what is right and what is wrong. The knowledge of right and dharma, adharma, chintane, the correct understanding of dharma, dharma is essential every step of the way. So that's how Bhagavad Gita is very relevant for us every day, every minute. And after having the true understanding of dharma and adharma, then how to do it? So the process. So first we have to know what is right and what is not right. And then the process of, okay, this is right, you have to do it. But I face these difficulties while doing the action. So how should I proceed with my actions? That is the second step. And the third step, okay, by doing this, what is the benefit? Why should I do that way? Why should I? So these three aspects, what to do, how to do, and why to do, this is essential. And for Arjuna, as you know, in the battlefield, he was getting this dilemma, and all my close relatives are standing. Is it worth to kill them all and have this blood-soaked food, basically, and continue our lives in such a horrible way, losing all the people? Is that right thing to do? So that was the doubt Arjuna had, and Krishna Upadesha, it clarifies the things. First of all, the very basic thing when we do any action is the realization that we are not Swatantra. See, in Arjuna's situation, if we think about it, even if Arjuna did not participate in the war, say at that moment, the war will continue, and Arjuna, true to his nature, maybe even if he has, suppose, desisted from war, fighting the battle for a few minutes, maybe after an hour or 2 hours, he would have joined the battle anyway, because that is his nature. He would have just continued with this battlefield action. So he would not have escaped that anyway. So that Swatantra, Aswatantra Bhavana should be there, number one. Number two, and how it is to be done. So this, like in 218 Gita, Antavante me deha nityasya yukta sharirina anashinao prameyasya tasmad yudhyasva bharata tasmad yudhyasva bharata. For that reason you have to fight. So in this realization of this action performance, the doubt people may get in their mind is because there are so many people who interpret the scriptures. Even Bhagavad Gita is interpreted by a school of thought who will tell, hey, there are Mahavakyas like Aham Brahmasmi Tattvamasi, which are speaking about non-difference between Jiva and Brahma. So that doubts that can come to anyone's mind that have to be refuted. That's why Acharya in this particular sloka, he goes at length in he takes up some of these abheda paravakyas, the so-called sentences, pronunciations, they call grand pronunciations or mahavakya, which is the name given by them to certain statements. So we were going through this Tattvamasi, that thou art, and how Acharya explains the true meaning of that. And Acharya gives it in a very brief fashion in Bhagavad Gita Tatparya, but he touches upon and he mentions all the examples. We are going a little bit deeper into that because for the same statement in Chandogya Upanishad Bhashya, Acharya elaborates in a more detailed fashion. So we are actually looking at, on this context, the Gita Tatparyas, a little more explanation that is given in Chandogya Upanishad Bhashya by Acharya himself. He has given that we are going through. So that is what we have been doing. And there in the last class, we looked at a couple of examples, Drushtantas or Nidarshanas that are given, which actually explains uh, the difference. Like the examples themselves are given in such a way that there's a gradual development. It looks, from the examples, maybe it is talking about non-difference between Jiva and Brahma because we talked about the honey and we talked about the rivers and the ocean. So, but that is not the case at all. And the examples become more and more clear, and clear differentiation is made, and also the aswatantriya of the jiva and the avyaktatva, that means the Paramatma, though he is present in everything, he is like Swatantra Karta, making everything happen. He is not visible. The invisible hand, the so-called invisible hand, it can be seen everywhere. And in that context, we went through a few statements, and we'll continue that. And there, Swetaketu, the son who has gone on Gurukula Vidyabhyasa for 12 years, comes back with an arrogant feeling that he knows everything. And his father, Uddalaka, gives him instructions slowly, one by one, and removes his ignorance that he, Sarvagna, is an ignorant thought. And here, Atma Atatvamasi, that thou art not, is the true meaning of that. So Acharya explains why that is the correct interpretation by breaking up each and every notion that is mentioned there. And there in the Upanishad Vakya, it goes like this: Asya Somya Mahato Vrukshasya Yo Mule Abhyahanyat Jivan Savedyo Madhye Abhyahanyat Jivan Shravedyo Agre Abhyahanyat Jivan Shravet Sa Yesha Jivena Atmana Anuprabhutaha Pepiyamano Modamanaha Tishtati. So if a question arises as to how to know that there is a jiva apart from the body, because our experience, like a lot of people, especially charvakas and those who do not believe in the presence of jiva itself. So for us to do our sadhana and to surrender all our actions to Paramatma, we have to be aware first of all the jiva exists. Then we should be aware that Paramatma exists. Then we should be aware that Jivatma is different from Paramatma. Then we should be aware that Jivatma has to realize that it is not Swatantra and Paramatma alone is Swatantra. and Jiva has to perform all the actions by surrendering that his actions are performed because Paramatma within him, who is residing in him. A lot of people have an accusation that the Dvaitins, they think about Paramatma sitting somewhere in Vaikuntha and doing the remote control job. No, Paramatma is not doing the remote control job. He is present. Ishvara Sarvabhutanam Huddeshe Arjuna Tishtati, as Sri Krishna Paramatma says, Paramatma is present each and every atom and inside each and every jiva, and he makes the jivas perform. So this concept of Paramatma Swatantra is very, very essential. And because he alone is Swatantra, Jiva is Aswatantra, there has to be different. They have to be different. And then, how should we know? How do we know that Jiva exists? So, a lot of people ask this question, and Upanishad deals with that. So, in this particular context, it explains as to if a question arises, how to know that there is jiva apart from the body, and how to know the dependence of jiva and the presence of some controlling, super controlling force which we call Paramatma, and that is answered in this particular one. The father Uddalaka, he continuing is saying, Asya Somya, dear one, dear son, he is saying, Asya Mahato Vrukshasya. If you take an example, an instance, suppose there's a tree, a huge tree is there, and in that tree, what happens is if a blow is given, so Mahato Vrukshasya yo mule abhyahanyat jivan shravedyo. So if a blow is given in the mula, that is the bottom portion of the tree, it secretes there, but it lives on. There is some secretion comes out of the tree, but it lives on. The tree lives on. And also it says, Madhye abhyahanyat jivan shravedyo. Jivan, it still continues, lives on. Shravet means because of the blow, the secretion happens. So if the blow is given and in the middle of the tree lives on. There's a secretion that happens. It secretes there, but it lives on. Jiva, driven by Paramatma, thrives on there. So as long as the grace of the Lord, Aniruddha, Rupi Paramatma is there on the jiva of the tree, it keeps on living on. So it keeps on drinking water from the soil. So that's what it says. It secretes, but it lives on. And the Upanishad Vakya continues, Yo agre abhyahanyat jivan sravet sayesha jivena atmana anuprabhuta. Atmana paramatmana aniruddharupa paramatmana anuprabhuta pepiyamanaha modamanaha tishtati. So it lives on, it pepiyamanaha. The tree, even though it gets some blows, say on the outside, on the stem of the tree, it still continues, keeps on drinking water from the soil, pepiyamanaha, and modamanaha, it is happy. I mean, this indicates, like, people will say, like, Jagdish Chandra Bose, he discovered that the trees have feelings and trees have life, all this. Long back in Upanishad Vakya itself, the life in the tree is explained so beautifully. So long back itself, all this knowledge has been given to the world by our scriptures. So the jiva in the tree is not responsible for the regeneration. The regeneration process that happens inside the tree, jiva is not responsible. There's a jiva in the tree, and inside the tree, inside the jiva, everywhere, the Paramatma is there. So the Abhimani Devatas in the tree, make them regenerate. Even those Abhimani Devatas are not Swatantra. So here Jivas is there, and along with the Jiva, the Abhimani Devatas of the tree are there. Even those Abhimani Devatas get their energy from Paramatma. Thus, the tree is dependent on Jiva inside, which is dependent on the presiding deities or Abhimani Devatas, who in turn are dependent upon Paramatma. So this is very, very important concept. So in this context, Jiva, actually, Jiva, it says Jiva refers to Paramatma. It's a Shabda that comes here, Jiva, Jivan, Jivena Atmana. Jivena Atmana, Atma is Paramatma, because Samantat Tata Vyaptaha Ma Miyate, Atma is Paramatma. Here jivena atmana is used. Here that word jiva actually means Paramatma. Jiva does not mean jiva, because of the jiva it is living. Because of the jiva it is living means that jiva is a swatantra shakti. So in this context, because jivayati, Paramatma makes everything exist and survive and live. So jiva iti bhagavato aniruddhasya akhya is a Vedic statement. So this is actually Veda itself says here jiva iti bhagavato aniruddhasya akhya. Upanishad itself gives a commentary. So it's not like Acharya's explanation, or Acharya is saying something from his own thing. No, every statement that Acharya gives, it is supported by the scriptures, by Vedas, by Shrutis, Smritis. Everything supports the statements. Acharya quotes, elaborately quotes from all over. So it is not something that Acharya is pulling off somewhere from somewhere or something like that. It is supported completely in the scripture. So this is very important concept that has to be remembered. And then here in the following, the Upanishad continues. What it says is, Asya yadekam shakham jivo jahati atha sa sushyati. Dvitiyam jahati atha sa sushyati. Trutiyam jahati atha sa sushyati. Sarvam jahati sarvaha sushyati. After giving that example of the blows, father continues. Suppose he says how Aniruddharupi Paramatma functions through the tree. Instead of giving just a small blow, suppose a branch is cut off from the tree. Imagine that one branch is cut off from the tree. That branch which is cut off, so let us not get confused with the grafting process and all. This is where just general example, where a branch is cut off, then that branch dries off. So the Aniruddharupi Paramatma, he quits one branch of the tree. That branch that is cut off, Paramatma quits from that branch of the tree, making that branch dry up. Of course, Paramatma in another form, he is present because he lives in one form, means that is making something to function in a particular way. Because God is present at all times in all places. So after he leaves, the dried branch, God does not exist in the dry branch? If somebody asks a question, of course God exists in the dried branches also, but as Aniruddharupi Paramatma, which makes it live on in that form, he is not present in the branch. So he quits that branch, one branch of the tree and then what happens is making that particular branch sick or dry up. So that branch dries up. And if Paramatma quits the second branch which is cut off, then he leaves that branch too, and that branch dries up. If he quits the third branch of the tree, which is third branch that is cut off, then that branch also dries up. Like this, if he quits one by one, the branch is cut off, the tree lives on, but only the branch gets dried up. What happens if the entire tree is cut off? If entire tree cut off, then the entire tree dries up. So the jiva of the tree does not make the decision. The decision making does not come from the jiva of the here. Like jiva, we are using in a two senses. One sense, jiva, jivena, it happens there. Jiva means Paramatma, and jiva does not have the decision power. When we say that, we are talking about the dependent jiva of the tree. So contextually, we have to be very careful what we mean by each word that we use. So when we are saying that the jiva of the tree does not make the decision, here we mean the jiva is the dependent jiva there. So it is the Hari, Jiva Namaka Paramatma, Aniruddharupi Paramatma, who makes the decision. So because the Vriksha Jiva is non-independent, it is dependent or non-independent, it is not Swatantra, it is known that Sri Hari is different from and controls Vriksha Jiva. Same is the case with human lives, human jivas. The human jiva is different from the human body. It is quite evident that the Vriksha Jiva is not independent, as it never made a decision when its branch should dry or when the whole tree should dry. It never made the decision. Likewise, any human jiva never makes a decision as to when it should enter a body. That is what is janma. So actually, we talk about birth and the death. What is birth and death? The body never has a birth, is jada all the time. Body is always jada. So what is born? What is a birth? What is being born? What does it mean by birth? What is being dead? What is meant by death? So this definition of birth and death is very simple. Birth is nothing but the jiva and the body coming together is birth. The jiva and the body separation is death. Because jiva is eternal. Jiva does not die. Body is eternal. Body does not die. But we see the birth and death. Birth and death is nothing but the birth is body and the jiva coming together is birth. Jiva and body separating is death. As simple as that. And who makes the decision? The jiva of the body, the ordinary jiva does not make the decision. The decision is made by Paramatma. Ultimate decision maker is Paramatma. Of course, through Tattvabhimani Devatas, it does that. But ultimate decision comes from Paramatma only. So the Upanishad continues, Evameva khalu somya vidhiti hovacha jivapetam vava kila idam mriyate na jivo mriyate iti. So father continues, oh dear son, in the same manner, the human jiva does not make the decision as to when it should leave the body. When Aniruddharupi Paramatma leaves any body, then that body dies, but not the Aniruddharupi Paramatma. So people may ask another question, okay, what happens that Aniruddharupi Paramatma, does it end there? I mean, does it end happens there? No, Aniruddharupi Paramatma, nothing. The death for human or animal jiva is separation from the body, that's all. As the jiva does not, even the ordinary jiva, it does not end. If that is the case, Aniruddha Paramatma ending does not make any sense at all. So as the jiva does not decide when the link between the soul and the body starts or ends, one must also conclude the presence of an independent, a swatantra, all deciding and controlling agent, force, which we call Paramatma, other than the human or animal or anything. That is what is important. And after giving this Drishtanta, see, this Drishtanta clearly differentiates between Jivatma and Paramatma. So here it says, the Upanishad continues where Uddalaka tells his son, and this famous statement, Sa ya esho anima aitadatmyamidam sarvam tat satyam sa atma tattvamasi shvetaketo iti bhujayeva ma bhagavan vignapayatu iti tatha somya iti hovacha. So again, as we went through that meaning, I just once again briefly go through that. Here it's saying, dear son, the Supreme One is called Sa because he is Saravan. He is the quintessence of everything, the essence of it all. And that is called Anima. Anima, Anu, Sukshma. Anu means Sukshma, subtle, very subtle. Sukshma, Jnana. So Anima, that Sukshma Jnana, Paramatma. So Anima, he is the giver of that subtle knowledge, and it is Aitadatmyam. Atma, Atmyam, Aitadatmyam means Etad Atma. So he is the controller of everything. Everything is Atmya or Atmiya, and he is Atma. Paramatma, he is Atma, and all the others, they are Atmyas, that means controlled. Atma is controller or Swami. Atmya or Atmiyas are those who are under the control of the Swami. And Aitadatmyam, he is the one who is controlling all these jivas. That's why he is called Atmya, Aitadatmyam. So he is the one who controls everything. And it is called Satya. So he is saying, Sarvam Tat Satyam. Satya, he is called Satya because of his supreme bliss. That Satyatva indicates the Ananda, Purna Anandatva. So that is the indicated by the word Satya. And that is, he is the true bliss personified, and that is the supreme controller of all, and he is the essence of all. And O Svetaketu, that thou art not Atatvamasi, Shvetaketu Atmat Atatvama Sa Atma Atatvamasi Shvetaketu. Shvetaketu, that the what not. So then Shvetaketu says, Bhuya ma Bhagavan Vijnapayatu. Oh Father, please educate me more. Tell me more about that. Then Father says, Tatha Someti Hovacha. Let it be, son. I'll continue. I'll explain to you more. And then Father, this is another famous example, and you might have heard about this. And the Upanishad continues, Nyagrodha phalam ataha ahara iti idam bhagava iti bhindi iti bhinnam bhagava iti kimatra pashyati iti. So it's actually in a very beautiful way. The conversation is mentioned like in each like small sentences. Each one is a one sentence from father and one sentence from son. So kimatra pashyasi iti. So prashthavya ivema dhana bhagava iti. So what is conversation is nyagrodha phala. Nyagrodha phala means a fig tree or a banyan tree. It's phala, so a fruit. So it says, O son, nyagrodha phalam ataha ahara. Ahara means bring. O son, bring it. Father is telling the son, O son, bring a fruit from the banyan tree. And the son says, Iti idam bhagava. Iti idam. Here it is. O father, here it is. Iti idam bhagava. O father, here it is. And the father says, Bhindi iti. So he says, break it. Father says, Bhindi, break it. And he says, Bhinnam bhagava iti. O bhagava, O father, it is broken. So I broke it. So it's broken. And he says, Kimatra pasyasi. So what father is saying, oh dear son, what are you saying? When you break one, what do you say? So he says, oh, I see some seeds. So break that also. He says, he sees, breaks that also. Kimatra pashyasi. What do you see there? So when he says, then he says, so he says, Iva ima dhana bhagava. So I see some grains there. Okay, take up a grain and break that also. So like this, he says, iti ityasam anga ekam bhinditi. Take one of the seeds and then break that also. So he breaks it. Bhinna bhagavaiti. I broke that also. Kimatra pashyasi iti. What do you see inside the seed? After you break the seed, there's nothing. He says, Nakinchana bhagavaiti. I don't see anything. Nothing. Oh, venerable one, oh Bhagavan, oh sacred one, I don't see anything there inside the seed. After I break this, I don't see anything. He says, that's why he says, Tam hovacha yam vai soumya etan animanam na nibhalayasa etasya vai soumya yesho animna evam mahan nyagrodha tishtati shraddhatsva somya iti. So father tells his son, oh dear son, whatever that sukshma, animanam, that subtle one, the sukshma one, the minute, invisible one that is there, that you are unable to perceive, you are unable to see inside the seed, that subtle force which you are unable to see. But when you plant the seed, from that seed where you say nothing is there, a huge tree comes out. How? From the earth, it takes the water, everything, and it sprouts and then grows up, and a huge tree comes out of the small seed. How does it happen? It's only through the glory and grace of Paramatma. That's what makes it happen. So, dear one, whatever the sukshma one that you are unable to perceive from that the subtle one, that only this huge fig or banyan tree springs up from that. Oh dear, that means nimitta karana. Even Paramatma is not upadana. Upadana karana, nimitta karana. Let me briefly explain that. Probably you're all aware of that. Upadana karana means material cause. Like mud and a pot are the famous example. The mud is upadana karana for the pot, material cause. And Paramatma is not upadana karana. He is only nimitta karana. He makes everything happen. That does not mean that Paramatma is dependent upon that is his decision. He makes, okay, out of the nothing he can do it, but he doesn't do that. He follows the rules. He makes the rules for himself and he follows the rules. From the matter, he creates everything. So, yeah, Tejovari Mudam Yatha Vinimayo Etriti Sargo Mrusha Bhagavata Vakya goes the same way. So, the Trivida Srushti, Jada Srushti is Parinama. That means alteration, modification. Modifying the Jada is the Jada Srushti. So that is how Paramatma does it. So Paramatma is Nimitta Karana, that means efficient cause. He is like a pot maker. But of course, it's a very limited example. In case of a pot maker is not present inside the pot. But in case of Paramatma, he is present inside. Every atom of the material also is present. He is Antaryamittvena, he is present everywhere. So he's a lot more than a pot maker. Just a crude example, just to make you understand what is meant by material cause and efficient cause. This knowledge is very important. So that's why it says, and after explaining that, father continues the same statement, the famous statement, Sa esho anima aitadatmyamidam sarvam tat satyam sa atma tattvamasi shvetaketo iti bhuya eva ma bhagavan vignapayatu iti tatha somya iti hovacha. So that we went through that, and like this, he and also says the next example he takes also is a beautiful example, which also probably you heard of this famous example also. He takes the salt and the water example and explains how Paramatma, though he is not visible to us, he can be felt, he can be understood in a different ways. So that is explained with this example. And he continues, the father continues, Lavanam etad udake अवधाय अथ मा प्रातर उपसीदथ इति स तथा चकार तं होवाच यद्धोषा लवणमुदके अवाध अंग तदाहर इति तद हावं दृश्य न विवेद. So here the lavana udaka example, that is salt and the water. So the father asked the son, put some salt in the water and come to me in the morning, because as you all know, it takes a little bit of time for the salt to melt in the water. So the father asked the son to put some salt in the water and come to me in the morning. So did the son do. He did that. He put some salt in the water, and next morning the son came and son says, here I am, and here is the water. So then father asked, whatever salt you placed last evening, dear son, take that out. The son, he tries to feel the salt, but it's not there because it's melted away into the water. So he says, no, I can't find the salt. So the salt is not there in the water. Then what happens? The father asks the son, यथा विलीनम एव अंगस्य अंतद आचमा इति कथमिति लवणमिति मध्यादाचमा इति कथमिति लवणमिति अंतादाचमा इति कथमिति लवणमिति अभिप्रास्य एतद अथ. He says ma upasidata iti tadha tatha chakara tach shashvat sarvat सर्वम. सो तत् संवर्तते तम होवाच वाव किल तत्सौम्य न निभालयस अत्र एव किल इति. So here father says, oh son, the water is all dissolved in, the salt is dissolved in the water, right? Now he says, taste a little water from the top of that vessel and tell me how it is. It is salty. Then father says, oh dear son, taste a little bit of water from the middle of the pot, where the water, middle portion of the water. How is it? It is salty. Then he says, oh dear son, take a little bit of water from the bottom and tell me how it is. He says, it's salty. So the father threw that out to the salt and asked him to sit near by him, and the son did so. And father told the son, the water and the salt, they intermingled, dear son, Even if you do not perceive the salt inside the water, it is there only. It did not disappear. It is there. And it pervaded entire water. Is it not? The same way, Paramatma, he pervades this entire universe. Even if you do not see Paramatma, he is just like the water, it is there. So you can feel the water, taste it. Same way, you can feel the presence of Paramatma. You cannot, of course, you cannot taste it, you cannot see it, you cannot smell it, you cannot hear it or whatever. So Paramatma, but you can see his, like your Aswatantra and the Swatantra of Paramatma, you can feel it, you can experience the presence of Paramatma. So that experience has to seep into you. So you got to understand this from your own, what you call internal meditation, internal understanding, internal thinking, internal complete, what you call the self analysis you have to do. And from that, you can feel the presence of Paramatma, who is the controlling force, and you are the controlled one. This knowledge is very essential for every action that we perform. We should feel the presence of Paramatma. And Acharya, he explains this in such a beautiful way, because this is a very, very, very important concept. And here I'll pass it, so that any questions are there, you can feel free to ask. Hare Srinivasa, Sri Krishna Arpanamastu. You can feel free to ask any question, not only in today's Patha, but even in the past Patha, or any other Shastra notions are there. Feel free to ask any question.
ಎಷ್ಟನೇ ಅಧ್ಯಾಯ ಮುಗಿದಿದೆ ಈಗ? ಎರಡನೇ ಅಧ್ಯಾಯ ಮುಗೀತಾ?
Hello?
Sir?
Is there any question?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Hello?
Sir, can
Yeah.
you say the essence of Madhva Siddhanta?
Yeah.
In how much sentences, sir? Please.
Madhva Siddhanta, of course, there's one famous sloka, Acharya, Vyasarayaru is attributed to Vyasarayaru, where it gives, you all must have heard very, very famous one, Madhva Prameya sloka, which is a Shriman Madhvamate Hari Parataraha, Satyam Jagat Tattato Bhedo, Jivaganaha Hare Ransaraha, Nichocha Bhavangataha. So in that one, you might see the 9 Prameyas that are given. So that is one brief. So lot of people some people may put criticism, it is not giving a lot of things. So like, for example, why Jivottama is there, but when we say Hari Parataraha, it includes why Jivottama also included, and it may say there are some other concepts that are missing there, but it is giving basically some important concepts. And there may be some other concepts which are there, but this sloka, the Prameya sloka, Shriman Madhvamate Hari Parataraha, Satyam Jagat Tattvato Bhedo, Jiva Ganaha हरेरनुचराः नीचोच्च भावंगताः मुक्तिर्नैज सुखानुभूतिः अमला भक्तित्स तत्साधनम् अक्षादितयं प्रमाणम् अखिलाम्नायैक वेद्यो हरिः. That actually covers some of the basic concepts of Madhva Siddhanta. Of course, any Siddhanta, as you go deeper and deeper, lot of layers will come, and it's like a ocean. But this is a brief way you can cover that.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Sure.
Acharya, namaste, Acharya. I got very the concept of samasti and vesti, is it confined only to Advaita, or that concept is in our Dvaita philosophy also, Modaya?
No, it is basically a Vedic concept. So it is there, is not Dvaita concept alone. So contextually, like, it's always depend upon the context, and that Samishti Vyashti concept is it's a Shastric concept. It's not just a Dvaita concept. It's a scriptural concept.
Okay. Thank you, Mohdaya.
Sure.
Dhanyawad, Acharya.
Sure, no problem.
Seems to be no further questions, Acharya.
Sir, sir,
Sure.
sir,
Yeah.
sir.
Go ahead.
I like to say one thing, sir.
Yeah.
Jiva Panchabheda.
Yeah.
Jiva and Paramatma.
Yeah.
Two and Bimba Pratibimba. Bimba Pratibimba Panchabheda.
Yeah.
Hari Sarvottam, I Jivottama.
Yeah.
You are God and I am your servant. I think these are the major principles of Madhya Siddhanta. Is it, sir?
Yeah, definitely. Because when I that particular sloka, when I said Hari Partaraha Satyam Jagat, whatever you are saying, that's all there in that. Because that Paramatma, Jiva Ganaha Hareha Anusaraha, they are dependent upon Hari only. So the Bimba Pratibimba Bhava, as Upanishad say, Rupam Rupam Pratirupo Babhuva. So the Upanishad Vakya says he is the Bimba Rupi Paramatma, and all the others are Pratibimba. So Rupam Rupam Pratirupo Babhuva, that actually gives that Bimba Pratibimba Bhava is explained very clearly. And what they the mistake that what Advaitins they do is Bimba and Pratibimba non-different. Bimba is same as Pratibimba. They say no, it's not, because we know that Bimba and Pratibimba are different. Pratibimba is dependent upon Bimba. So the Bimba Pratibimba Bhava they take to establish non-difference, but actually they talk about the difference only. Bimba Pratibimba talks about the difference and also the dependency. Both are explained by Bimba Pratibimba Bhava. So that is actually even gives more strength to Dvaita school of thought.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Sure. Okay, if there are no more questions, we will again meet next week. Hare Srinivasa.
धन्यवाद आचार्य, धन्यवाद.
Sure, धन्यवाद.
Acharya, dhanyawada.
Sure. May Lord Harivai Gurugalu bless you all.
Thank you very much. Thank you. धन्यवाद.